Very timely article appeared at WND.com this week, warning of a disaster that could lead to 100 Fukushimas here in the United States. Welcome to SkyWatch TV for Thursday, June 2nd, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. Our guest, a gentleman who's written and produced a film which warns about the danger of an electromagnetic pulse. We welcome the man behind the film Amerigeddon, Gary Heavin. Gary, welcome.
Thank you, Derek.
This is really timely news item. I mean, the film Amerigeddon warns about the potential impact of an electromagnetic pulse, knocking out the electric grid and all of our electronics that we've come to depend on, probably more than we should. But one thing I hadn't thought about until reading this article was what happens to all of the backup generators at America's nuclear power plants.
It's it's so scary. It's hard to even think about. We have about 100 nuclear power plants in our country. The state I live in Texas, we have 2. And the nuclear plants require cooling and pumping systems. And to operate their pumps, you either have to have electricity or you have to have a diesel backup. Under any scenario, if there's an electromagnetic pulse, the electricity is shut down. So you don't have that to run the cooling system. And even the diesel backup generators can shut down because they have electronic parts. Not to mention they have usually a couple of weeks of fuel.
Right.
And fuel deliveries very likely may stop. And so it is a very real and scary scenario that could cause more deaths than the potential for violence and starvation and other things that'll occur if there's an EMP attack on this country.
Yeah, the problem is that you just can't shut down a nuclear plant. I mean, when you stop an automobile and you stop the internal combustion, it just shuts down and nothing happens. But when you've got a nuclear power plant, you've got some issues there. Turning off the cooling system is bad.
It's Fukushima, which happened a couple of years ago. The nuclear material is still at tremendously hot temperatures, and you're unable to approach it. It's leaking into the Pacific Ocean and causing a nightmare of a disaster. Multiply that times 100.
Yeah. What would the United States need to do in order to prepare and protect the electric grid from this kind of a shutdown so that those generators could continue to operate?
Yeah, that's a great question. Certainly, they need to have the backup generating system or the backup diesel system hardened to protect it from an EMP pulse that would potentially destroy the electronics. They need to have fuel that's available for the diesel backup generators. And those nuclear power plants that require cooling need to all have diesel backup and not just electrical power to back it up. And it's amazing, but the Nuclear Regulatory Agency in this country has kind of been asleep at the wheel. They've decided that nothing like that is likely to happen. So therefore, they don't need to spend time and money on those sort of preparations, which is part of the whole problem. This whole EMP attack on America that could happen. As we've talked about, Derek, twice a day a North Korean satellite crosses over the United States that quite possibly could have a miniaturized nuclear device designed specifically for an EMP attack on this country. And yet we've done nothing about it. So I'm from the government and I'm here to help you.
Yeah. The steps that we can take as citizens, obviously we can't depend on the government to help us out. What do we need to do to get off the couch and not depend on things being there forever, services, electricity, forever? How do we prepare ourselves?
On the nuclear issue, I'm not sure there's much you can do. I mean, you can have iodine and I guess air-breathing masks and suits. But if you're anywhere near the vicinity of these things, it's really quite hopeless. Now, for those of us that can do something about the threat of an EMP on this country, there are a lot of things you can do. There's a list of 4 or 5. First of all, you need to be right with God.
Yeah.
If you don't know Jesus, really not anything else matters. It's just a matter of time before you meet your demise anyway. So you want to get right with God and your family members and your friends. And you know how a funeral is a great place to lead people to salvation? Right. Well, you know, we're facing a threat to this country that really demonstrates our mortality. And so it's a great time to witness when you talk about. My movie Amerigeddon, for example, shows when this happens to our country and the terrible disaster it is. And it also shows how you can prepare for it both by having some reasonable food storage, having an alternate water source. You know, at my ranch I live on, all of the roofs, the barns and houses all have gutters that go into a water storage tank through a filter. And you know, you need an alternative water source just to be smart about things. Because if there's no electricity, there's no water pumping into your house.
Right.
It's not a bad idea to have the means to protect your resources. And again, I live in a state that is encouraged, and most of us do tend to protect our families and our resources. So, and probably the last thing is the banking system would go down.
Right.
So if you don't have money, cash in your hand, you may not have access to it. And this is a really rare, a real event. I have a good friend in Cyprus, and when the banks went on holiday, and
they had the bail-in there instead of the bail-out.
I'm quite knowledgeable on the bail-in,
Yeah.
which is where the bank fails, and they're allowed to issue bank stock in lieu of your deposit. And by the way, according to the G20 and also the Dodd-Frank Act, your money in the bank is not your money.
Right.
You are considered an unsecured creditor. And they're now allowed to reimburse you in bank stock. Now, try taking the bank stock to the grocery store to feed your family. And this is important because people are under the illusion that the FDIC is going to protect your accounts up to $250,000. The loophole here is that, and by the way, there is no significant money in the FDIC fund.
Right.
You know, maybe $25 billion to cover $7 trillion. So,
yeah, and the same problem with the Pension Guarantee Fund for unfunded pension liabilities.
Yeah, and Social Security, right?
Right.
There is no trust fund. And,
Right.
and people need to wake up and understand that their government has spent their money, but they continue to lie and pretend that there's some kind of trust fund with our money in it. It's just amazing. And Americans don't ask these hard questions. And I have to admit the answers are quite unpleasant. But a bail-in scenario, you're not going to get an FDIC funded check. You're going to get some bank stock. And because you didn't really lose your money, the FDIC is not going to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Unsecured creditor. You're lending money to the bank and they get to take it. And of course, with the war on cash now, they're trying to say that we shouldn't be spending, we shouldn't have access to $100 bills. And next it'll be 50s and 20s. And because the only people who use those big bills are drug dealers, terrorists, and tax cheats.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's a plan.
Yeah, or a bunch of odd coincidences, right?
Yeah.
Anything that allows them to transfer wealth to the elite, and we know that 20 years ago there was a fairly widespread of who had the wealth, but today the top 1% have 90% of the wealth in this country. And American people are waking up, though.
Yeah.
I think that they may dream or dare that they could take our country back.
What impact has the film had on those who have seen it regarding their attitude about the relationship between the government, the elite, the political class, and the American people?
We made a movie that had two purposes. One was to really teach people about what Congress calls the most imminent threat to the survival of our country. And we felt people ought to know about it. But there was a parallel message in that the government wasn't doing anything about it. And was that by incompetence or by design? And so we've opened up a can of worms or discussion, and it's so cool because it paralleled Donald Trump's race, where he's actually looking into the camera to these media who have provided the cover for these criminal elites in Washington to transfer this wealth. And so we're all looking at this saying, hey, maybe we can speak the truth. maybe we can call what it is, what is so obvious. And so, as the movie warned people about the threat, and also that the government is doing nothing about it, and perhaps why, and who would benefit from the demise of our country? And the answer to that, according to Henry Kissinger, by the way, the answer to that is those people that would like to replace the hegemony of America with a world government and a world economic system.
Yeah.
Now, this sounds crazy and out there, but you know what? People are starting to talk about it in polite company without fear of being ostracized, and that's a great thing. We actually have freedom to speak.
Who'd have thought? One part of the Constitution, they haven't struck it out yet.
Well, they're trying.
Yes,
they really are.
Now, the film has been out officially just a few weeks. How's it doing so far, and where can people find a place to watch Amerigeddon?
Go to our website, Amerigeddonthemovie.com, and there's you can watch the trailer, and you can also see the theaters where it's available at, and check frequently, because we're actually, in essence, touring the movie around the country. We're taking it to the audiences that want to see it. In the 30 theaters that we opened, in 27 of those theaters, we were the #2 movie.
Wow.
Ahead of George Clooney, by the way,
wow.
which was quite interesting. So, we ask people to support the movie, because this isn't the kind of movie that Hollywood wants people to see.
Right.
And anytime you expose the government as being incompetent, or maybe worse, there's a lot of forces that want to shut this down. But they're enjoying the movie, they're enjoying the message, they're bringing their friends. The goal was to not just to get a movie out there and entertain them, or even warn them. It was to create a movement. And part of the Trump movement, again, I love the parallel, the timing of this. And of course, God times everything. But people are waking up, and they want to share the truth that we've lost our country. And also that ultimately a democracy depends on the personal responsibility of individuals to be informed, to demand the truth from their media, to demand that their people that they send to represent them go to Washington and don't allow themselves to be bought and paid by the moneyed interest. And I'm going to tell you, Washington is a house of prostitution. They are bought and paid for by the people that have the money. And you can see that to the great harm of the American people's health, freedom, and finances.
10 years ago, when I hosted a secular radio talk show on a conservative talk radio station, I had the opportunity to talk to quite a few of the lawmakers here in our state of Missouri. And when you got them off microphone, I mean, on mic, it was pretty much the typical, Republican, Democrat, left, right, with the libertarian guy in the background saying, hey, notice us. But off mic, they would admit that at the national level, their political parties were completely out of touch with the will or the interests of the American people. They were serving their constituents, who are, as you say, the moneyed interest in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
So thank you very much for stopping by today. We pray the movie does well and does wake people up, because it's a message that's overdue.
Thank you, Derek.
Yeah. On SkyWatch TV this week, the conversation continues, the third of a three-part discussion about the blockbuster new book from best-selling authors Tom Horn and Chris Putnam, The Final Roman Emperor, The Islamic Antichrist, and the Vatican's Last Crusade. You've got 2 more opportunities to watch it. Saturday afternoon, Victory Television Network down in Arkansas and around Memphis, and in the Tampa-St. Pete area, WCLF-TV. You'll see the times here on your screen. And of course, the program also available right now on the SkyWatch TV channel on Roku. And if you haven't added our channel to your Roku account, we've got instructions posted at skywatchtv.com/Roku. This is also the week of the grand release of the book. If you've not yet found out how to spend $20 and get $200 worth of stuff from SkyWatch TV, watch through the end of the program. If you've got comments or questions for me, please send those to dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.
Coming exclusively from SkyWatch TV for a very limited time starting May 31st, 2016. When you purchase the new book and final report from Tom Horn and Chris Putnam, The Final Roman Emperor, the Islamic Antichrist, and the Vatican's Last Crusade, you'll receive the largest giveaway of 2016, an unprecedented value of over $200 in free books, DVDs, audio files, and a data DVD library with tens of thousands of pages of ancient literature no longer available, as well as movies, WikiLeaks files the government does not want you to see, and more for your library or to give away as gifts. Included in this biggest giveaway of 2016 are Chris Putnam's full-length DVD presentation, Astrobiology and the Vatican ET Connection, the new 5-part SkyWatch TV special investigative report on the book, The Final Roman Emperor, plus 2 mystery books with a $40 value, and a data DVD library with thousands of pages of ancient literature, movies, and audio series for your library or to give away as gifts. And for the first several thousand customers while supplies last, you'll also receive Satan's Dirty Little Secret, the 2 demon spirits that all demons get their strength from. Satan, You Can't Have My Promises, the spiritual warfare guide to reclaim what's yours. What Happens When I Die, true stories of the afterlife and what they tell us about eternity. Becoming a Prayer Warrior, a guide to effective and powerful prayer. An unprecedented value of over $200 in never-before-offered free products. And the biggest giveaway of 2016, yours absolutely free when you purchase The Final Roman Emperor from SkyWatchTV.com for only $19.95 plus shipping, beginning May 31st. But be advised, this astonishing promotion is limited to first come, first serve while supplies last. So it's urgent, beginning May 31st, 2016. You place your order for the final book and biggest prediction yet in this 4-year investigation by internationally acclaimed best-selling authors Tom Horn and Chris Putnam. The Final Roman Emperor, the Islamic Antichrist, and the Vatican's Last Crusade for only $19.95 plus shipping. This offer is on a limited time basis and will end without notification. So be sure to visit SkyWatchTV.com to follow the updates in the countdown to the biggest giveaway of 2016. Order the new book by Tom Horn and Chris Putnam on May 31st to receive the unprecedented value of over $200 while supplies last. Free products limited to quantity on hand and may be replaced by products of equal value.